Silence hung heavy after the vote. 100 counselors, each representing a star-spanning species, had cast their decision on the luminous slate. The tally flashed and brutal read 97 in favor, 3 against. Earth was sentenced to invasion. Counselor Theik of the Varn Dominion reclined, mandibles twitching in smug satisfaction. Uplifted primates with grand illusions, he sneered.
Ow.
They'll collapse within a cycle. Their world's veins bleed iron, uranium, geothermal power. Let them wail as we drain it dry. None objected, not allowed. Earth's rise onto the galactic stage was too little, too late. Their signals, chaotic bursts of war, music, culture, violence, had been noticed barely a decade prior. Most assumed they still fought with sharpened steel or destroyed themselves in petty conflicts. A species too passionate, too unstable, too human. What the Council miscalculated, however, was what made humans lethal. Wasn't their weapons obsolete, nor their ships barely breaching interstellar reach. It was something deeper, older, feral. 12 days after the vote, a cloaked probe entered Earth's orbit. Silent, gathering data. It was destroyed in under 8 minutes. A missile cold, fast, unannounced. The wreckage was never recovered. Aboard the Corran dreadnought, hidden beyond Jupiter's shadow, General HFY watched scans with smug ease. They barely notice us. Cloaks hold. This will be clinical. His adjutant, a young Tari named Breen, cleared his throat. Sir, anomaly detected. 2 vessels launched from the surface. Fast, small, unregistered. Send interceptors. I want them alive. Gervasi, let's see what passes for a pilot on Earth. He didn't say it aloud, but curiosity lingered to see courage within a monkey's skull. 2 hours later, 1 interceptor returned, drifting, cockpit breached, pilot missing, placed by 1 foreign object lodged in the console cold, dense, curved steel. A crowbar. No bomb, no virus, just raw metal. Is this a warning? Asked Freevac remained silent, throat uncomfortably dry for the first time in years. On Earth, in a dim hangar deep beneath Colorado, the air reeked of oil, concrete, gunpowder. 2 men hovered over a luminous map table. One, scarred and grim, lit a cigarette. They've blockaded the moon. Orbital patrol static, I think. We're pinned, he muttered. The other man, silent, adjusted his exosuit, a patched relic of old war tech fused with human ingenuity. What's the play, Captain? The scarred one asked. The captain's voice was coarse, cold, fatal. We're heading up. They'll kill us before orbit. Not if we look like cargo haulers. When they scan, the captain smirked. We won't be aboard by then. He flipped a switch. The map displayed the dreadnought idling past Mars. They want to see humanity's mettle, he said. Let's remind them why Earth stays unconquered. Meanwhile, on the Council homeworld, the 3 dissenters the lone votes against. Invasion remained quiet. They had studied humans not via probes, but through history, wars, diaries of Hiroshima, Verdun, Fallujah, Stalingrad. One, a blind aquatic seer, whispered, they don't fight to win. They fight because they refuse. To lose, but his words drowned under the Council's cheers. It was too late. That night, 3 ships ascended from Earth. Not advanced, not elegant, not even fully tested. Hybrid stolen tech, salvaged wreckage from Earth's brutal aerial history. One had engines from a scrapped airliner. The other 2 used jury-rigged guidance from decommissioned missiles. Perfection was unnecessary. Speed and noise were enough. Inside the lead vessel, Captain retightened his harness, a battered sidearm on his thigh. He wasn't a pilot. None were. But each man aboard had seen true war. No sims, real blood, real. Screams. They weren't selected for skills, but one trait knowing how to die with purpose. Ree glanced at the flickering screen near his Naya satellite feed, cobbled from private networks and hacked infrastructure. It mapped enemy formations in high-orbitate ships, silent predators. Cloaked, yet tracked via an algorithm coded by a teenager between history homework and instant noodles. We breached the first patrol, dump decoys, Ree muttered. Then, we split. Ship 2 runs to Mars. Ship 3 loops the moon. I go for the jugular, that big ugly behind Mars. Asked his co-pilot, Bald, tattooed, grinning in chaos. It's the one, the dreadnought. If I'm lucky, I'll get close. Luckier, I'll get inside. And if not, Ree smiled grimly. Then they'll see a human corpse at Mach 20. His partner chuckled, hit ignition, and the ship roared to life as the ascent began. Alarms howled aboard the Corathon dreadnought even before the human ships pierced the ionosphere. "They've launched again," Breen reported, watching red. Blips flash across the screen. 3 ships this time. General Revac leaned forward, his slitted eyes narrowing, same as before. Similar builds, heavy shielding, but their paths are erratic. No formation flying. Odd. No, that's human, Bravek muttered with disdain. Deploy interceptors. Every squadron, no survivors. And if they eject, sir, then shoot the pods. All of them. Oh, mercy. For a brief moment, Breen hesitated. The crowbar flashed in his mind, the last interceptor lost. Earth's uncanny ability to twist disorder into cunning, but he turned and relayed the order. Rewatched the enemy ships approach. Sleek, dark shapes, their eyes burning in the void. He tapped twice on his console. Decoys out. Panels on the human vessels split apart, releasing dozens of fast-spinning metal pods. Each radiated heat, faked movement, and spoofed targeting sensors. The alien interceptors, swift but enslaved to logic, hunted the most convincing signals. 2 human ships broke away. Ree didn't. He rammed the throttle forward. "Come on, you alien bastards," he growled. "Let me teach you the scent of revenge." On the dreadnought bridge, tension coiled. "One's charging directly at us," Breen said, eyes wide. No evasions. Full assault vector. "Idiots," Bravik spat. "Ready the main cannons. Plot intercept at trajectory 12.5, fire at will." But the cannons never fired. Systems flickered, then went black for 6 whole seconds. Deep in Antarctica, a covert team inside a mothballed research station cheered, their virus hidden within a music file. Hijacked from Earth's global network, had infiltrated the dreadnought systems through a tapped transmission days earlier. 6 seconds was all Ree needed. His ship rattled as he cut power, rerouting every ounce to the heat shields. The dreadnought loomed vast, dead, a steel giant wrapped in layers of armor. It wasn't just a ship, it was a fortress. Ree aimed low for the flank. The hangar bay gaped half open, seals incomplete. He didn't need an invitation, just speed. At the final 1,000 kilometers, enemy defenses ignited. Lasers, pulse beams, gravitational traps, ruthless, automated, deadly. The shields groaned. A wing sheared off. Air hissed away. Still, he didn't falter. At the last heartbeat, Ree ejected, the pod streaking clear. Smaller, faster, packed with explosives. It ripped through the hangar shield and crashed into the wall like a meteor. Inside the dreadnought, panic erupted. The council wouldn't learn of the breach for another 2 hours. By then, Ree had done what no one dared believe. He didn't destroy the dreadnought. He didn't annihilate their fleet. What he did was, worse, he humiliated them. With nothing but salvaged tech and reckless creativity, he disabled their engines, stole encrypted star charts, and set off a chain reaction in the fuel reserves. He didn't sink the ship. He broke its hand, escaped. Through an airlock, half their data cores strapped to his back. One man, a human, primate armed with duct tape and a death wish. On Earth, world leaders argued. The UN was a hollow shell now. Military power answered not to nations, but to results. And all eyes were fixed on a battered warehouse in Alaska, where a shirtless, bruised, redrank whiskey by a grimy table. "You hit them?" asked an official, sweat pouring as he leaned in. "I didn't hit them," Ree muttered, pouring another shot. "I shamed them. They thought we were insects. I showed them we're roaches." "Roaches? Unkillable, annoying. We breed in." The dark no one laughed. A young tactician spoke up. "They'll strike back," let them resaid. Meanwhile, across the galaxy on the Council's moon station, a crisis meeting was called. Not all counselors showed. Some were dead. Others had disappeared after Earth's first counterstrikes. The survivors watched the same footage on Lupri breaching the dreadnought. It's form a chaotic blur, a man who shouldn't have survived. An elder counselor slammed the table, who declared war on savages. Atari Seer raised his blind, gaze faint light behind dead eyes. No, he whispered. We declared war on the heirs of every nightmare we've ever had. Silence answered him. On the dreadnought, Brienne wandered the ruined lower engine bay. Bodies floated, some burnt, others frozen, mid-scream. He stopped at a scorched wall, where words had been seared in by hand. Next time, we send more. Brienne's throat tightened. He understood. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Back on Earth, Reed decrypted the stolen files and grinned. They weren't just star charts or fleet deployments. It was the Council's vault, war doctrines, species physiology, vulnerabilities, above all rivalries, betrayals, centuries of grudges. They weren't united. They were a glass empire, held by fear. And now Ree had the hammer. The cold of the Alaskan bunker was almost soothing. The heaters had failed again, no surprise. But the chill kept minds sharp. Softness was scorched away long ago. Weakness was death. Ree hunched over 3 rusted monitors patched with copper and broken phone screens. His fingers flew, driven. Not by training, but by need. By obsession. Every keystroke Pelid Council's Sakask Chat GPT. They're not an alliance, Ree muttered. They're enemies pretending they aren't. Behind him, Commander Briggs entered older, wiry, his right leg dragging from a failed Jakarta raid. He chewed toothpicks like chain-smoked cigarettes, clicking them against his teeth when anxious. He was clicking now. So what's the play? Briggs asked. Ree leaned back. We stopped playing defense. That's what they expect us, hiding underground, begging for scraps. We're flipping the board. Briggs crossed his arms. You mean hit them? I mean break them. Not a ship, not a raid. Shatter the alliance. How? Returned to the third monitor. Species dossier loaded the Sorens. Tall, reptilian predators, driven by honor and centuries of blood feuds with the gnarlthy aquatic, refined rivals the Council forced them to tolerate. The ceasefire between them? It's barely held. One Council vote from collapse. Ree smirked. Just need to give them a reason. 6,000 light years away, the Council's war chamber was sealed not for security, for shame. Word spread faster than official reports. A lone human boarded a dreadnought, crippled it, and escaped with military data. The outer systems whispered. Trade was disrupted. Pirates, humans, and copycats now raided deep space armed with crowbars and chaos. Morale collapsed. The Ick of the Varn Dominion, who'd once laughed at Earth's resistance, now fumed in private. His species had bled the most. 2 depots lost, an embassy burned. Savages, he spat. They think this makes them superior. That one man shamed us. Across the chamber, the Tari Seer stirred. Not a man, he said softly. It's an idea. Desperation made them dangerous. Purpose made them lethal. Theic's claw jabbed the air. Then we kill the idea. Glass Earth. No prisoners, no warnings. But the Council president shook his frail, insectoid head. Once a diplomat who'd tamed for warring systems, his voice now trembled with dread. Overreact, and the outer systems revolt? Then what? Control. The story. Blame a traitor. Spin it, however. Theic slammed his fist on the table. They saw him. He burned messages on our walls. Silence followed. The truth was heavier than any excuse. Humanity had bared its fangs. In the black zone, the lawless stretch between Council space and neutral stars, 3 cloaked ships dropped from hyperspace. No insignias, all human crews. We stood at the lead vessel's helm, not his first command, and not his last. Their mission wasn't destruction, it was provocation. Briggs led the infiltration team to a Saurian outpost disguised as Council auditors. Artificial scales, mimicked posture, downloaded dialects. They didn't need to fool the Sorens, just provoke them. A planted transmission, a doctored videoneural commanders mocking the Sorens, claiming humans were their lapdogs. That was enough. The Saurian general snarled. We return to war, burn the fish. The first crack in the Council's armor widened. By the time Council leadership heard the Sorens had attacked Gnarl positions, fleets were already clashing. Diplomacy. Drowned in accusations and vendettas, the war we-wanted was underway. Aerith hadn't fired a shot. Back in the command bunker, Briggs leaned over the table, watching the galaxy fracture across 20 screens. "This is madness," he muttered, barely believing it himself. Ree didn't glance up. "No, this is balance. We fought to survive now. They fight each other to stay in power. They're bleeding from the inside." Briggs grunted. "No, they'll trace it back to us eventually." Ree finally turned, his eyes colder than the Arctic ice above. "Let them." While the Council scrambled to hold its crumbling empire, Earth transformed. Bunkers became academies. Abandoned labs came alive again. Nations once at odds now poured everything into one mission: vengeance. Every satellite the Council destroyed was replaced with 2 more. Every fallen ship reborn threefold. Earth stopped waiting, stopped defending, started hunting. Ree stood alone in a hangar, watching the new wave of human ships take form. Still rough, steel plates hand-welded, wiring run like veins not code. But each ship carried what no Council forge could replicate or of. A young engineer approached, data slate in hand. "Sir, M-Core disruptors online. Should collapse Council shields within range." Ree nodded. "Keep the pulse. Messy, I want their systems fried. Make them feel it." "Yes, sir." "And the message." Engineer paused. "You're sure we send it before each strike?" Returned, his voice like stone. "Word for word?" The engineer nodded. Message was clear. "This is Earth. You came for blood. Now we come for yours." Across the galaxy, Council systems blacked out, trade collapsed, alliances shattered, war spread. And through the fractures, humans moved into scene, unbound, unforgiving. On a Council supply moon, a troop, carrier of 2,000 soldiers, exploded during launch. The cause a bomb hidden in a crate marked humanitarian aid. A trap, a message. In the wreckage, a phrase scratched into steel: "We learn fast." Ree stood over a star map littered with red marks each, a system touched by human hands. Some by direct strike, some by sabotage, others mere whispers that bloomed into civil war. Briggs stared at it, arms crossed. "We're winning." Ree shook his head. "Not yet. They still think we're a glitch of virus to purge. Then what?" Ree stared at the biggest mark the Council's capital. "We show them we're not a virus," he said. "We're evolution." They called it Operation Black Vein. Everyone who signed up knew they wouldn't come back. The target wasn't just any post-it. It was Marith 4, the supply heart of the Council's inner ring. A moon-sized fortress orbiting the dying star, Evos, wrapped in turrets, automated fleets, and sensors so dense even dust couldn't sneak through unseen. No human had ever neared it. That's why I repicked it. He studied the 3D map on the war. Table every detail sourced from stolen blueprints and months of signal intercepts. The Council thought it invincible, a delusion built on centuries of supremacy. "We take this," Ree said, pointing to the station's core, glowing on the map, "and we show every system their safety is a lie." The room fell silent. Out of doubt, but because they knew he meant it, Ree boarded the Wraith. A stealth dropship built from the bones of a crashed Council frigate, forged in a Siberian hangar by ex-miners, and former built by war criminals and ex-miners. The Wraith wasn't pretty. It wasn't clean, but it was perfect. Inside, the crew was stripped to essentials: 12 men. No ranks, no rituals. Just killers, engineers, and ghosts with nothing to lose. Merrick sat beside Ree, a demolition expert with one eye effused. Wrist and his dead son's name inked across his throat. "You know, this is suicide," Merrick said, strapping in. Ree tightened his harness. "Yeah, and you're good with that?" Ree didn't answer. He stared at the stars outside, blinking cold and distant like uncaring gods. He wasn't good with it. He was ready. Their descent into Ivo's space was smoother than anyone predicted. The automated surveillance grid blinked out for precisely 4.7 seconds, thanks to a virus Earth had seeded into a merchant freighter 7 months prior. By the time the Council noticed the breach, humans were already within striking range. Rhys stood behind the pilot as a Marath station loomed ahead, a dead city orbiting a dying sun. Lights flickered under its vast belly. Patrol ships drifted, idly secure in the belief that Earth would never dare return here. Set us to free fall, reordered. You serious? Do it. The Wraith's engines shut down mid-drift. Now, they were just debris sliding silently toward the station's trash collection zone. The hull moaned as they skimmed Marath's shield bubble, the heat friction groaning across the metal. By the time the Council's scanners caught the anomaly, it was already too late. They landed like infection, silent, unseen, lethal. Removed quickly through maintenance shafts, corridors reeking of antiseptic and cold metal. The lights glared sterile and harsh, the air too clean-like. Navigating the bones of a dead, diseased beast, they spoke no words. Every heartbeat counted. The mission: plant the core crasher on, EMP rigged with Earth's tailored corruption virus, and cripple Marath station from within. But as they neared the central reactor, alarms erupted. They'd been made. A Council patrol rounded the corner, weapons raised. Their mouths open to alert. Merrick shot first, homemade slugs dropping two before they blinked. The last soldier fired, his bolt catching Rhys in the side. Rhys dropped, pain burning through his ribs, but rolled and fired back. His shot hit the alien in the throat, ending it. Ow. Merrick yanked Rhys up. You good? Rhys spat blood and nodded. Not dead yet. They dragged the crasher forward, almost 100 kilos of raw. Unstable tech, a mass of welds, wires, and pure vengeance. On Earth, Command watched the flickering signal. They're in, someone whispered. Half the station's comms are down. Another confirmed, they're scrambling. And deep beneath Iceland's dead glaciers, the war room began a countdown. If the crasher detonated inside Marath's core, the pulse wouldn't just black out the station, it would ripple across. Council satellites, fleets, and relay hubs broadcasting one message to the galaxy. Ask ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT. Inside the core chamber, the lights flickered as Rhys and Merrick dropped the crasher beside the control column. Timer or remote? Merrick asked. Rhys paused. He glanced at the readout, then at the cracked viewport, showing the distant stars blinking past the shield. Timer, give me 20 minutes. You're not coming back, are you? Rhys shrugged. They think we won't sacrifice, that we won't commit. You sure you want to be the myth? Returned, voice steady. I don't want to. Be a myth. I want to be the mistake they never recover from. The rest of the team exfiltrated through a sewage tunnel, carved through the station's waste system. Filthy, unsafe, but they escaped. Rhys stayed, limped through sterile halls, bleeding, broken, but standing. He reached the central command hub and flipped on the emergency intercom. Across Marath 4's network, screens lit up with his face scarred. Bleeding, grinning. This is Earth, he said, his voice low and clear. You voted for invasion? Thought we were weak? Thought we'd crawl? He held up the detonator. You were wrong. Wow. The screens went black. The explosion wasn't. Cinematic. It was ugly, corrupted, feral. The crasher didn't just blow it consumed. It chewed Marath 4's systems like acid, melting defenses, scrambling comms. Every ship within 5,000 kilometers went dark. Earth's signal rode the pulse through the void. We are not yours. We are not prey. We are the future. Council command collapsed into disarray. Supply lines died. Fleets stranded in deep space. Blind, low on fuel. No idea what hit them. In that silence, fear began to murmur. This is what humans do. They don't fight wars. They end them. 3 days later, Rhys' body was recovered by a scavenger drone. Council never got it, humans did. They buried him quietly. No state funeral, no anthems, just dirt and a headstone carved with his own words. We don't fight to win. We fight because we refuse to lose. In the weeks that followed, Earth didn't just gain ground, it gained believers. Oppressed worlds rebelled. Mercenary crews defected. Council's supply captains vanished, swayed by Earth's promise of freedom. Marith 4 was never rebuilt. It remained a ghost station, a warning. And when the council told the story, the name they feared wasn't a species. It was a man. They thought it ended with Ree. Their true mistake wasn't underestimating him. It was assuming he was the peak of human defiance, that his death would scare Earth back into the dirt. What they didn't grasp was what Ree had become: not a soldier, a template. Across Earth's fractured landscapes, from Paris's ruins to the iron domes of Beijing, his message wasn't just remembered, it was branded, painted on bomber jackets, etched onto missile casings, scratched into helmets. We fight because we refuse to lose. Commander Briggs stood on Site 9's launch deck, staring into the storm swirling over the northern ice fields. His leg ached, the Jakarta wound always did in the cold. He'd buried Ree himself, shovel in hand, alone. No one else had the stomach to see him lowered into the ground. Now, 2 weeks after Marith's fall, Briggs held the data Ree had died. To secure, he read it twice, then a third time. Finally, he stepped into the command chamber and gave a single order: prep every ship we've got. The Council's revenge wasn't a battle, it was a massacre. Not face to face, but from orbit. 5 cities, 5 hubs of human resistance, glassed. No declarations, no warnings, just silence, then fire. Their ships hovered above, dropping. Thermal detonators and bioreactive incendiaries that boiled seas, melted cities, and vaporized children before screams could rise. Over 200 million dead in one night, and the footage reached Earth's command. No one spoke for 20 minutes, not even Briggs. He just watched the images, again and again. Asked ChatGPT. His jaw clenched so hard his teeth cracked. Then Briggs spat blood into a rag and said, "Send the message." The message was brutal. Every council world linked to the Marith grid, nearly all of them received a surge. Not a virus, but a video. Uncut, raw. It showed one of the glassed cities. A drone hovering low, capturing charred bodies. Skin melted to bone. A child gripping a doll fused into her hand. Father's skeleton curled around his son. Then it cut to Briggs. No screams, no tears. Just a stare that looked like debt collection. "This was your answer to defiance," he said. "We gave you the chance to retreat. You answered with fire?" He paused. No answer. Briggs led Fleet Omega's first real offensive battle group through the outer systems like a rusted blade. Ships weren't elegant. They were monsters forged from rage and shattered satellites, graffiti scarred by centuries of war. Their flagship, the Ghost of Ree. Their first target wasn't strategic, was symbolic. Zora Prime, home of the Council's archives, museums, and the oldest genetic records of every species in the Alliance. Briggs ordered, "Wipe it all. No buildings, no monuments, no data. Let them remember nothing but loss." For 7 hours, they bombarded the planet. When they left orbit, there wasn't a meter left that wasn't black ash. Across the galaxy, panic spread. The humans weren't rebels anymore. They were strategic rage incarnate. And it was infectious. Planets bound by fear of the Council rioted, not for Earth but against their own rulers. "If they can bleed," a protester declared on a live broadcast, "then we are not slaves." The Council regrouped. They authorized Purge Protocol, a forbidden tactic used once before. A bioweapon. Cyrix 9 Airborne, invisible, designed to target human DNA and kill within 90 seconds. They dropped it from 5 warships over Earth's southern hemisphere, but nothing died. No alarms, no sickness, no screams. Then, as the warships turned to retreat, cloaked human fighters ambushed them. Council ships didn't even see them until impact. 4 of the 5 were obliterated. The 5th was hijacked, then crash-driven into a Council listening post on a distant moon, erased from existence. What the Council hadn't known: Earth had intercepted Cyrix 9 schematics weeks ago, thanks to Ree's data haul from Marath 4. Instead of fearing it, they rewrote it, rebuilt it, reforged it. Now it could target any non-human species. They called it Whisper Rot, and they didn't bomb with it. They laced it into council water supplies across a dozen stations via merchant ships and bribed engineers. The deaths were slow, silent. By the time council command understood, tens of thousands were already rotting alive. Briggs stood in Earth's war chamber, half the walls scorched from prior raids, wires dangling. He didn't care. He needed no comfort, just results. A young tech approached, voice trembling. Commander, reports say council civilian colonies are abandoning their posts. Refugees are flooding fringe systems. Some want to surrender. Didn't look up. Do they bleed? The tech blinked. What? Briggs turned. Do they bleed? The kid nodded, scared. Briggs' stare went ice cold. Then they're not done paying yet. The word spread, not in council tongues, not in Earth's. A new word burned into the mouths of smugglers, pirates, defectors, soldiers, slaves, Risborn. It meant rage, retribution. It meant someone who didn't just fight but made the stars bleed. For some it became a religion. For others, a warning. For the council, a curse. Now, the council fleets went from hunters to prey. They couldn't predict Earth's next strike. Guerrilla cells appeared in sectors once thought secure. Council soldiers refused postings near Earth's guard systems. The council president Hood voted calmly to invade Earth a year ago, now hid inside a reinforced panic vault under a molten planet. His once silver armor dulled by fear. This wasn't supposed to happen, he muttered. You didn't listen, his guard said. You poked the ape. No, the president whispered, eyes hollow. We poked something worse. Council had never begged for peace. It's not when member species fought to extinction. Not when the Nahari plague ate 9 systems. It's not even during the AI uprising that erased half their central archives. But now, they begged. The message came garbled. Through flickering static, routed across 12 relays, 3 encrypted servers, and 1 half-bribed trader vessel, Commander Briggs listened in silence. The council president's voice shook, brittle with panic. We acknowledge the tragedies, acknowledge Earth's strength. We offer terms. Ceasefire, full withdrawal from Sol and adjacent sectors. Reparations. Can be discussed. Briggs stared, face flat as at Ree's grave. Same jaw, same dead eyes. Then he cut the transmission mid-sentence. I'm not interested in terms, he said coldly. A lieutenant beside him shifted. Sir, they're scared. Good. They're offering to pull back. They don't get to decide when this ends. Briggs turned to his room of commanders, ex-mercs, weaponized scientists, exiles, ghosts. Do you think glassing? Our cities deserves a ceasefire? Nobody answered. They called us a disease, a mistake. They wanted our resources, our children, our future. He leaned forward. They don't get to surrender, not until every last one of them feels what we felt when the sky burned and the ground swallowed our people. That night, he made his call Earth's first planetary retaliation, not a station, not a shipyard, not an outpost, a homeworld. The target Yatan, a lush, green-blue planet deep in council space. Home of the Dathari, one of the oldest and loudest voices that pushed for Earth's invasion. Briggs wanted them to pant just in blood, but in legacy. We'll hit their cultural vaults first, he ordered. Burn their temples, level their archives, turn their art to ash, make them feel history vanish. Earth's fleet wasn't large, but it was relentless. Floating coffins of steel and spite, each captained by men with nothing left, were afraid. The council president, ghost pale and hollow, sat frozen while chaos roared around him. He had no commands left, no allies left, because Earth had done what no enemy ever had. It turned the galaxy against them. On Yatan Briggs stood. In the remains of the High Temple of Varen, once a monument 10 stories tall, carved from living crystal, glowing with ancient light, now just slag and rubble. He knelt by a shattered Deathery sculpture, its once peaceful face now warped in melted agony. He picked up a jagged shard, turned it in his gloved hand. Behind him a young soldier approached. Sir, they've retreated. No resistance left.
Briggs!
Stood. Gather the survivors. The soldier blinked. Orders, sir? Put them in front of a broadcast feed? Make them watch what happens next. The soldier hesitated. Briggs turned, face unyielding. No graves, no mercy, no future. The broadcast went live across every surviving council relay, showed the huddled civilians of Yatton, trembling, silent, forced to witness Earth's machines flatten their world, showed Briggs, standing amidst the ruins, speaking with lethal calm. This is the price of arrogance, the cost of genocide. You wanted our resources. You wanted our surrender. He leaned toward the camera, voice a cold whisper. Now you'll give us your fear. He pressed a button. Behind him, the last archive tower Jatan's hall of memory detonated. Data shards, screams, transmission cut. In the days that followed, 10 more systems defected. Some fled in terror, some out of shame, all out of respect and Earth. Earth didn't stop. No gloating, no negotiations. It moved. Methodical targeting, not armies, but ideas. Culture, history, identity, because Earth didn't want peace. Not anymore. They wanted the Council to forget who they ever were. In a dim Earth bunker, Briggs sat hunched over a battered notebook. Page after page, names of the dead. Children, teachers, friends, glass shadows. He wrote another name. Yatan. Erased. No smile. Just a closed book and a map filled with systems still loyal to the Council. He tapped the next one. Carvas. By the time the order was signed, Carvas was already a wasteland. Oceans boiled away by 3 orbital strikes, each guided by Earth's satellite jamming precision, crafted by ex-hackers and AI. Engineers who didn't believe in rules anymore. Briggs didn't watch the destruction. He didn't need to. Briggs stared at the blueprint of Goliath, thick steel veins, reinforced core, impact shells layered in ablative armor, no lasers, no cannons, just mass, a blunt, inevitable force. It wasn't built to threaten. It was built to remind. We don't negotiate, Briggs muttered. We land. Catherine's cradle wasn't just a symbol. It was the future of the Council. They raised their prodigies there, sculpted minds meant to inherit the galaxy.
Briggs
Didn't want them to inherit anything. When Goliath appeared in orbit, there was no warning transmission, no demand. Just a shadow blotting out the sun, an eclipse made of rusted metal and human spite. Council Command panicked. They scrambled. Every ship nearby, every shield array, every orbital weapon. It wasn't enough. Goliath was too big, too heavy, and too fast. The station's kinetic barriers failed in under 10 minutes, and then it fell. Briggs watched from a remote relay drone. The world below cracked like glass under a hammer. Continents buckled. Oceans vaporized. Sky turned to ash. Billions gone in. A roar that shook systems light years away. When the dust settled, there was no cradle left, just a crater so deep it touched the mantle. Back on Earth, the soldiers didn't cheer. They just marked another name off the map. Briggs sat in Skyrave's observation deck, watching the distant glow where a planet used to be. He whispered to himself, "We were your mistake, now we're your lesson." And somewhere deep in the Council's remaining strongholds, the whispers spread again. Risborn. The rage reborn. Earth didn't smile. Earth didn't celebrate. It ruled. The Ash Pact spread fast, not because of diplomacy, but because of memory. Every species remembered. The glassed cities, the burned archives, the fall of Catherine's cradle, and the shadow of Goliath. They remembered the message burned into the stars. We are not yours. We are not prey. We are the future. And so, with the Ash Pact, Earth became more than a planet. It became a boundary. Line in the galaxy no one dared cross, not out of respect, but out of fear that the black sun might rise again. Briggs watched it all from Skyrave. Orbiting in silence above a gray Earth still scarred, still haunted, he flipped open the old notebook again, the one with names, with places, with memories that felt like ghosts. He turned to the last page. It was blank. For a moment he stared. Then, in thick charcoal, he wrote, We didn't win. We just stopped losing. And outside, the stars blinked on, watching, waiting,